The night was quiet, too quiet for comfort. The street lay in darkness with only a few dim lamps standing like tired guards. The clock inside the small house struck 12. Midnight. Most people were asleep, lost in dreams, but one man sat awake, alone. He had been working late on his old computer, trying to finish some papers. His name was Daniel. Life for him was simple, almost boring. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. He never thought that one night could change everything he knew about the world. As he rubbed his tired eyes, he heard something. Knock, knock, knock. At first, he thought it was his imagination. Who would knock at this hour? The sound came again, louder. Knock, knock, knock. Daniel's chest tightened. Midnight knocks were never normal. His heart beat fast as he slowly walked to the door. He thought of ignoring it, but something inside pushed him forward. He placed his hand on the doorknob, cold with fear. When he opened the door, he froze. Standing before him were two strangers, a woman and a child. The woman looked pale, her eyes full of fear but also strength. Her clothes were strange, silver-like fabric that shimmered faintly even in the dark. The little girl clung to her side. She could not be older than 7. Her big eyes glowed softly like 2 tiny stars. "Please," the woman whispered. Her voice shook, but it carried urgency. "We need your help." Daniel blinked, unsure if he was dreaming. The woman looked exhausted, and the child's face carried both innocence and sorrow. Who are you?" he asked. The woman glanced over her shoulder as if someone was chasing them. Then she leaned closer and said, "We are not from this world." Daniel almost laughed, but the look in her eyes stopped him. It was not a joke. It was not madness. It was the truth. Before he could answer, the child stepped forward. Her glowing eyes locked on his, and Daniel felt something he had never felt before. A strange pull, as if she was silently speaking to him without words. A shiver ran down his spine. "You opened the door for us," the girl said softly. "That means destiny chose you." Daniel shook his head. "Wait, what? Destiny? What are you talking about?" The woman pressed her finger to her lips. "Not here. They are coming." A gust of cold wind blew down the street, and Daniel suddenly noticed it. An unusual silence. No dogs barking, no cars, no sound of life. Only the night watching them. "Who's coming?" he asked, his voice shaking. The woman's eyes filled with fear. "Hunters. If they find us, it will not only be the end of us, but your world too." Daniel's knees felt weak. He had never believed in aliens, never cared about stars beyond Earth. Yet here they were, 2 beings standing at his doorstep asking for help. "Why me?" he whispered. The woman looked at her daughter, then back at him. "Because only you can protect her." Daniel wanted to shut the door, to lock himself inside and forget this madness. But as he looked at the little girl's glowing eyes, he knew he could not. Something deep inside told him that if he turned them away, he would regret it for the rest of his life. "Fine," he said at last. "Come inside, quickly." The woman and the girl stepped in. Daniel closed the door, his hands trembling. The moment the lock clicked, a strange sound filled the night. A low humming. He rushed to the window and peeked outside. Strange lights moved in the sky, red and silver sliding between the clouds like shadows alive. The air itself seemed to vibrate. "They're here," the woman whispered. Daniel's mouth went dry. His ordinary life had ended the moment he opened that door. The girl looked at him with calm, starry eyes and said, "Don't be afraid. You were chosen for this." Daniel wanted to ask what she meant, but the humming outside grew louder. A shadow passed across his window, tall and thin with glowing red eyes. The hunters. Daniel ducked away, his heart hammering in his chest. His mind screamed at him to run, but his body stayed frozen. The woman placed a hand on his arm. "We cannot run anymore. You must listen. This night is only the beginning." Daniel stared at her, confused and terrified. But deep down he felt the truth. His life would never be the same again. Outside, the shadow paused at his door. A long silence followed. Then knock, knock, knock. But this knock was not human. Daniel's heart raced as the strange, heavy knock echoed through the house. The hunters were outside. The woman pulled her daughter close, her face pale and full of fear. "Stay away from the window," she whispered sharply. Daniel obeyed, though his mind screamed with questions. Who were these people? Why had they come to him? And what did those glowing eyes outside belong to? The knock came again, louder this time. Boom, boom, boom. The walls of the house seemed to shake. Daniel's chest tightened. He had never felt this kind of fear before, not even in his worst nightmares. The woman pressed a small hand device against the door. A faint blue shield shimmered for a moment, almost invisible, and the noise outside stopped. The humming in the air faded, replaced by silence. "They cannot break through, not yet," she said, breathing heavily. Daniel stared at her. "What is going on? Who are you people? What do they want?" The woman turned to him, her eyes shining with tears she tried to hide. "My name is Alara. This is my daughter, Lyra. We are not from your world." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "You already said that. But why come here? Why me?" Alara stepped closer. Her voice was low, urgent. "Because you are the only one who can help us. You are the only one destiny marked." Daniel gave a short, nervous laugh. "Destiny? You think I'm some kind of hero? I'm nobody. I go to work, I eat noodles, I pay bills. That's it. I don't even know how to fight." Lyra, the little girl, looked at him with those glowing star-like eyes. "You don't need to fight. You need to protect me." Her words felt heavy, almost too heavy for such a small voice. Daniel's throat went dry. Alara placed the glowing device she carried on the table. It pulsed softly like a beating heart. "This is why they hunt us. This device is not just a tool. It holds knowledge, power, and the last hope of our people, but it cannot be opened by us. It can only be opened by someone from this planet." Daniel blinked. "You mean me?" "Yes," Alara said firmly. "You." Daniel's head spun. He wanted to believe this was all some cruel prank. But the lights in the sky, the shadow outside, and the girl's glowing eyes told him it was real. Too real. "What happens if I say no?" he asked, his voice shaking. Alara's face darkened. "Then they will capture us. They will take the device. And once they do, your Earth will fall just like our world did." Daniel swallowed hard. The idea of Earth destroyed, cities burning, families gone, it was too much to imagine. Yet here was a woman from another world telling him it could happen. Lyra tugged at his sleeve. Her voice was soft, almost breaking. "Please, I don't want to lose another home." Something inside Daniel cracked at that. He saw in her eyes not just alien light, but fear, sadness, and a desperate hope. She was just a child, after all. He took a deep breath. "All right, tell me what I need to do." Ilara's shoulders relaxed with relief. "First, we must survive tonight. Then, I will show you how to protect the device. But know this, once you accept, there is no turning back. Your life will never be the same." Daniel let out a shaky laugh. "I think it's already too late for my normal life." Suddenly, the humming outside returned, louder than before. The shield on the door flickered. Lyra gasped. "They found us again." Daniel looked through a small crack in the curtain. Red glowing figures moved on the street, tall and thin, like shadows walking with purpose. One of them raised a hand and a beam of light scanned the house. "They're searching," Alara said quickly. "We have minutes, maybe less." Daniel felt panic rise in his chest. "Where do we go?" "What do we do?" Alara grabbed the device and handed it to him. The moment it touched his hands, it glowed brighter than before. A wave of heat rushed through him, not painful but powerful. Lyra smiled faintly. "See, it chose you." Daniel nearly dropped it. "What is this thing?" "It is a key," Alara said, her voice trembling. "A key to saving not just us, but your world too. Keep it safe. Even if I fall, you must protect her and the device." Before Daniel could argue, the window cracked with a sharp sound. One of the hunters pressed against the glass, its red eyes glowing like fire. Alara grabbed Daniel's arm. "We run now!" The front door rattled as the shield failed. The hunters slammed against it, each knock sounding like thunder. Daniel shoved the device into his pocket and followed Alara and Lyra through the back door. The cold night air hit his face as they dashed into the darkness. Behind them, the door finally gave way. The hunters stepped into the house. The chase had begun. The night air was cold as Daniel, Alara, and Lyra ran into the dark streets. Daniel's lungs burned, his legs felt heavy, but fear pushed him forward. Behind them, the hunters entered his house. Glass shattered, wood broke, and the sound of inhuman growls filled the air. "Don't stop," Alara shouted, clutching Lyra's hand tightly. Daniel looked back once. His stomach twisted. A tall figure stepped through his broken front door. Its body was thin and long, its skin dark like smoke, its eyes glowing red. Another appeared behind it, scanning the street with eerie precision. They didn't move like humans. They glided, silent and fast, as if the ground itself carried them. "Who are they?" Daniel whispered. Ilara's voice was tense. Hunters. They exist only for one purpose, to track, to capture, to destroy. They will not stop until they have us. Lyra suddenly pulled her mother's arm. They are close. I can feel them. Her words made Daniel stumble. How could a child sense danger like that? But her glowing eyes told him it was true. They turned down a narrow alley, their feet slapping against the pavement. Daniel's heart pounded like a drum. He could almost hear footsteps behind them, though when he looked, the alley was empty. Still, the feeling of being hunted never left. They're playing with us, Ilara whispered. They want us to run. Daniel's throat tightened. Why? So they can corner us. Before Daniel could reply, Lyra gasped and pointed. At the end of the alley, a red light appeared. One of the hunters stood there, blocking the exit. Its head tilted unnaturally like a predator studying prey. Back, Ilara hissed. They spun around only to see another hunter gliding silently into the alley from the other side. Daniel's chest went cold. They were trapped. The hunters moved closer, their glowing eyes locking on the three of them. For the first time, Daniel felt the weight of death pressing on him. Ilara pushed Lyra behind her and stood tall. She raised a small device from her belt and pressed it. A flash of blue light shot forward, forming a shield between them and the hunters. The creatures screeched, a sound that made Daniel's ears ache. They pressed against the shield, clawing at it, their long fingers crackling with red energy. How long will it hold? Daniel shouted. Not long, Ilara replied. Sweat glistened on her forehead. This shield is weak. It was not meant for battles on Earth. Lyra stepped forward, her tiny hand glowing. She pressed her palm against the shield, and for a moment the blue light grew brighter. The hunters recoiled. Daniel's eyes widened. She's powering it? Ilara nodded quickly. Her gift is strong, but she is still a child. She cannot hold it for long. The creatures backed away for a moment, then raised their arms. Red sparks gathered in their hands. Daniel knew instinctively that whatever they were preparing would break the shield. Run, Ilara shouted. But where? Daniel panicked. Ilara pointed to the side of the alley. A small metal grate covered a drainage tunnel. There. Daniel didn't hesitate. He ran to the grate, kicked it hard, and with Ilara's help, ripped it open. The air inside smelled damp and foul, but there was no time to think. Lyra cried out as the shield cracked. Daniel grabbed her in his arms and slid into the tunnel. Ilara followed quickly. The moment they disappeared inside, the shield shattered. Red light blasted through the alley, shaking the ground. The hunters screeched in anger. Inside the tunnel, it was dark and narrow. Water dripped from the walls, echoing with each step. Daniel carried Lyra while Ilara guided them. Will they follow us? Daniel asked breathlessly. Yes, Ilara whispered. But it will slow them down. Daniel's mind raced. He was no soldier, no fighter, yet here he was, running from creatures that looked like nightmares, holding a child from another world in his arms. He thought of his quiet life, his boring days. That life was gone now. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes glowing faintly even in the darkness. Don't be afraid, she said softly. We will make it. I can see it. Daniel almost smiled despite the fear. How could a child be so calm when monsters hunted them? They reached a ladder at the end of the tunnel. Ilara climbed first, then Daniel handed Lyra up and followed. When they pushed open the hatch, cool night air rushed in. They were in an abandoned part of town. Empty buildings, broken windows, silence everywhere. We can hide here for now, Ilara said. Daniel collapsed against a wall, gasping for breath. His whole body shook, but he managed to ask, Why me? Why are you dragging me into this? Ilara looked at him seriously. Because the device chose you. Without you, the hunters win. With you, there is hope. Daniel wanted to argue, to say he wasn't ready, but before he could, a chilling sound echoed through the night, an unearthly shriek that froze his blood. The hunters had found their trail again. Ilara's eyes hardened. This is only the beginning. We must keep moving. Daniel clutched the glowing device in his pocket, feeling its strange heat. For the first time, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, destiny had really chosen him. The night was heavy with silence as Daniel, Ilara, and Lyra moved through the ruins of the old town. Broken buildings rose around them like skeletons, their windows empty eyes staring into the dark. The air smelled of rust and dust. Every step echoed, every shadow seemed alive. Daniel's legs ached, but fear kept him moving. He kept glancing back, expecting to see the red-eyed hunters gliding behind them. Though the streets looked empty, The memory of their screeches haunted him. "Are we safe here?" Daniel whispered. Alara shook her head. "Safe? No, but hidden. For now, yes." She guided them into a half-collapsed factory. The roof had holes, letting silver moonlight spill across the cracked floor. Rusted machines stood like giants in the dark. Daniel shivered. He had passed this place many times before, never imagining it could become his shelter. Alara set Lyra down gently. The child leaned against her mother, tired but still glowing faintly. Her eyes sparkled like twin stars in the shadows. Daniel rubbed his face, trying to calm his racing thoughts. "You need to tell me the truth. Everything. I deserve to know why my life turned upside down in one night." Alara looked at him with tired eyes. For a moment she said nothing. Then she nodded. "You are right. You must know." She pulled the small glowing device from Daniel's pocket. The moment her hand touched it, it dimmed as if rejecting her. But when Daniel took it back, the glow returned, stronger this time. The pulse of light matched the beating of his heart. "This device is called the Solarian key," Alara explained softly. "It is a piece of technology from my world. It carries knowledge, power, and hope, but only a human can unlock it." Daniel frowned. "Why? If it's from your world, why give it to me?" "Because our world is gone," her voice cracked. "The hunters destroyed it. They took everything, our homes, our families, our freedom. We escaped, only a few of us carrying what little we could. The Solarian key was our last chance. It chose you because Earth is now the next target." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Wait, are you saying they want Earth too?" Alara nodded gravely. "They move from world to world, feeding on energy, life, and resources. When they are finished, nothing remains. If they gain the key, your planet will fall the same way ours did." Daniel's hands shook as he stared at the glowing device. It felt heavy now, not because of its size, but because of the responsibility it carried. "But why me? I'm not special. I'm just normal." Lyra spoke for the first time since entering the factory. Her voice was quiet but sure. "You are not normal. The key knows your spirit. It does not choose soldiers or kings. It chooses hearts strong enough to protect." Daniel looked at her glowing eyes and for a moment felt something stir inside him, a small seed of courage. But then the sound came again, an eerie humming drifting through the night. Daniel froze. "They're close," Lyra whispered, trembling. Alara's face hardened. "We cannot stay long." She moved toward one of the broken machines and pulled away a loose panel. Behind it was a small passage that led underground. "This will take us deeper, but before we go, you must understand. Protecting the key means protecting Lyra. She is linked to it. Her gift amplifies its power." Daniel blinked. "Her gift?" Alara nodded. "She can sense danger before it comes. She can strengthen the shield. But more than that, she can unlock the hidden message inside the key. A message left by our ancestors. Without her, the key is only light. With her, it becomes hope." Daniel looked at the child. Her small hands glowed softly as she held his gaze. She looked fragile, yet her presence was powerful, almost otherworldly. "Hunters want her, don't they?" he asked quietly. Alara's eyes filled with sorrow. "Yes, if they take her, they will twist her gift and the key will open for them. That is why you must keep her safe. Even if I cannot." The words hit Daniel like a stone. He shook his head. "Don't talk like that. We'll get through this together." But before Alara could respond, the factory groaned. A beam of red light cut through a broken window, sweeping across the floor. The humming grew louder. "They found us," Alara whispered. Daniel's pulse spiked. He grabbed Lyra's hand, the key glowing brighter in his pocket. Alara pushed them toward the underground passage. "Go," she ordered. "What about you?" Daniel asked. "I'll hold them off for a moment." "No." "I can't leave you." Alara's eyes blazed with determination. "You must." "Protect her. Protect the key. That is your destiny now." The walls shook as the hunters entered the factory. Their red eyes pierced the shadows, their steps echoing like death. Daniel hesitated, but Lyra pulled his arm. "Please," she whispered. "Trust her. Trust me." With one last look at Alara, Daniel climbed into the dark passage, pulling Lyra with him. The tunnel swallowed them in shadows. Behind, Alara faced the hunters alone, her shield glowing faint blue against the storm of red energy. Daniel's heart broke as he crawled through the tunnel, hearing the clash of power echo behind him. For the first time, he felt the weight of destiny crushing him. This was no longer just about survival. It was about protecting a child, a key, and perhaps the fate of the world, and deep down he knew the hunters would never stop. The tunnel was long and dark. Daniel's hand scraped against damp stone as he crawled, the glowing key pulsing in his pocket like a heartbeat. Lyra followed close, her tiny fingers gripping his arm whenever the tunnel shook from distant echoes of battle. Behind them, the sound of Ilara's shield clashing against the hunters still rang in Daniel's ears. He wanted to turn back. He wanted to help her, but Lyra's voice guided him forward. "She told you to protect me," the child whispered. "We have to keep moving." Daniel swallowed hard. He had never felt more helpless. The key chose him, but he didn't know how or why. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a hero. He was just a man running from shadows. At last, the tunnel opened into another part of the ruined town. They climbed out through a broken grate into an empty courtyard. The night air smelled of smoke and the silence felt heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Daniel looked around. "Where do we go now?" Before Lyra could answer, a voice called out, "Daniel?" Daniel spun, his heart leaping. From the shadows, a familiar figure stepped forward. It was Marcus, his neighbor and old friend. Marcus lived 2 houses down, a man who often shared coffee with him and joked about Daniel's boring life. Relief flooded Daniel. "Marcus, thank God, you won't believe what's happening." But Lyra pulled at his sleeve, her glowing eyes narrowing. "Be careful," she whispered. Daniel frowned, confused. "It's okay. He's a friend." Marcus stepped closer, his face calm but strange. Too calm for a man seeing chaos. "I know what's happening, Daniel. I've been waiting for you." Daniel froze. "What do you mean?" Marcus's eyes flickered. Not with red glow like the hunters, but with something colder. "You opened the door for them. You took the key, it always had to be you. But you don't understand. The key doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the one strong enough to use it." Daniel's stomach sank. "You knew about this?" Marcus gave a small smile. "More than you think. I've been watching, guiding, waiting for the night the hunters arrived, and now, you'll give me the key." Lyra stepped in front of Daniel, her voice trembling but firm. "No, he can't have it." Marcus's smile vanished. "Little star, you don't know what you're standing against." He raised his hand, and for the first time Daniel saw it. Thin wires of red energy running across Marcus's arm. Like veins of fire, Daniel's breath caught. "You're with them?" "I serve survival," Marcus said coldly. "Your world is weak, Daniel. Do you really think you can protect it? With the hunters I have power. With the key I have destiny." Daniel's hands curled into fists. "You betrayed us." "You betrayed me." Marcus tilted his head. "Betrayal? No, I chose the winning side." Before Daniel could reply, Marcus snapped his fingers. 2 hunters appeared from the shadows, their red eyes glowing like burning coals. Daniel's chest tightened. "Trapped again. Give me the key," Marcus ordered. "Do it and maybe I'll let you live." Daniel's hand brushed the key in his pocket. It pulsed almost as if it felt the danger. He looked at Lyra, her small frame glowing faintly, her eyes wide but unbroken. He thought of Ilara's words, protect her. Protect the key, his fear turned to fire. "No," Marcus's smile twisted into a snarl. "Then you will die with her." The hunters moved forward, their steps silent but full of menace. Daniel's heart pounded, but before the creatures could reach them, Lyra raised her hand. A blast of blue light shot out, forming a shield around them. The hunters screeched, pressing against the barrier. Marcus laughed darkly. "The child has power, yes, but she can't hold it forever." Daniel grabbed Lyra's arm. "We need to run." Lyra shook her head, sweat beading on her forehead. "If we run now, they'll follow. We need to break free." The key glowed brighter in Daniel's pocket. Without thinking, he pulled it out. The moment it touched the shield, the blue light grew stronger, spreading like fire. The hunters stumbled back, shrieking in rage. Marcus's eyes widened. "Impossible!" Daniel felt a strange energy rush through him. Not just light, but strength. For a moment, he was not just a man, he was something more. The key had awakened. The shield exploded outward, throwing the hunters to the ground. Marcus staggered back, covering his face from the light. Daniel grabbed Lyra's hand and ran, the key still glowing in his grasp. Behind him, Marcus's voice echoed through the night. "You can't hide forever, Daniel. The hunters will never stop. And when they catch you, I'll be there to take what's mine." Daniel didn't look back. His heart burned with fear and fury. Betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Marcus, his friend, had chosen the enemy. Now, Daniel knew the truth. Humans could be as dangerous as hunters, and the fight for survival had only just begun. The night air cut cold against Daniel's face as he and Lyra ran through the broken streets. His chest ached, his legs burned, but he refused to stop. Behind them, Marcus's angry voice still echoed. The hunters will never stop. The key is mine. Daniel clenched the glowing device in his hand. The key pulsed warmly as if alive, guiding his steps through the darkness. Beside him, Lyra struggled to keep up, her small frame trembling from exhaustion. But her glowing eyes stayed fixed forward. They ducked into the remains of an old library. Dust filled the air. Shelves lay broken and torn books scattered the floor. Daniel closed the heavy door behind them and pressed his ear against it. Silence, for now. Lyra leaned against a broken chair, her breath heavy. Daniel crouched in front of her. Are you okay? She nodded weakly. Yes, but they're getting closer. I can feel them. Daniel rubbed his forehead. His mind spun. He thought of Alara fighting alone in the factory. He thought of Marcus, his so-called friend, now working with monsters. And he thought of himself. Ordinary, unprepared, yet carrying the one thing that could change everything. He looked at the key, its blue glow pulsing in the shadows. Why me? He muttered. Why did this thing choose me? Lyra tilted her head, her voice soft but clear. Because you're different. You care even when you're afraid. The key doesn't choose warriors. It chooses protectors. Daniel shook his head. But I'm not strong enough. You saw Marcus. You saw those things. I can't fight them. Lyra reached out and touched the key. The glow brightened, spreading warmth through Daniel's chest. You don't need to fight alone. The key works with us together. My mother knew this. That's why she trusted you. Daniel swallowed hard. The words cut deep. Alara had given everything so he and Lyra could escape. He couldn't waste that sacrifice. Before he could respond, the key suddenly flared brighter. A beam of light shot upward, forming strange glowing symbols in the air. Daniel jumped back. What's happening? He asked. Lyra's glowing eyes widened. It's opening. The light swirled, and then a voice filled the library. Not a normal voice, but deep and echoing, like it came from the stars themselves. To the protector of worlds, it said. The hunters are shadows of destruction. They move from star to star, leaving emptiness. This key carries the memory of how to stop them, but it cannot be unlocked without the bond of two, one of Earth, one of the stars. Daniel stared in awe. It's talking, Lyra smiled faintly. It means us. You and me. The symbols shifted, forming an image of a great machine glowing with energy. A message continued. The key is a map. Follow it, and you will find the weapon that can end the hunter's path forever. Daniel's heart pounded. A weapon to end the hunters. Hope. But the voice grew darker. Beware. The hunters will sense this awakening. They will not stop until the key and the child are theirs. Time is short. Destiny is yours to carry. The light faded, leaving the key glowing softly in Daniel's hand. Silence filled the library once again. Daniel sat back, his breath shaking. A map, a weapon, and destiny. I don't know if I can do this. Lyra placed her small hand over his. You can, because you already are. Daniel met her eyes, and for the first time since the night began, he felt something stronger than fear. Purpose. But before he could speak, the library windows shook violently. Red light seeped through the cracks. They found us, Lyra whispered. Daniel stood, gripping the key tightly. The hunter's shadows slid across the walls, their glowing eyes peering through the broken glass. The door burst open with a crash. Marcus stepped inside, flanked by two hunters. His smile was sharp and cruel. I told you, Daniel. You can't run from this. He stretched out his hand. Give me the key. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Daniel's chest tightened, but this time he didn't step back. He held the key high, its glow filling the room. No, Daniel said, his voice steady. This doesn't belong to you. It's not for destruction. It's for protection, Marcus sneered. Then you'll die protecting it. The hunters lunged forward, red light crackling around them. Lyra screamed, raising her hands. Blue energy shot outward, colliding with the hunter's power. The room shook, books flying from the shelves, walls cracking from the force. Daniel stood between them, the key glowing brighter than ever. Pulsing with his heartbeat, He felt its power surge into him like fire and light merging together. For the first time, he didn't feel helpless. He felt ready. "This is my destiny," Daniel whispered. The glow exploded, filling the library with blinding light. The library shook as blinding light poured from the key. Shelves collapsed, glass shattered, and the air crackled with raw power. Daniel stood firm, the key glowing in his hand like a living star. Beside him, Lyra's eyes blazed brighter than ever, her small hands raised against the hunter's red energy. Marcus shielded his face, shouting above the roar. "Do you see, Daniel? That power is wasted on you. Give it to me, and I'll control it." Daniel's voice cut through the chaos. "You don't control power like this. You protect it." The hunters screeched, their long claws striking against the shield of blue light Lyra created. Each strike sent shockwaves through the floor. Dust rained from the ceiling. The library wouldn't last much longer. Daniel felt the key pulling him forward, urging him to act. Images flashed in his mind, symbols, pathways, and a great machine buried deep within the earth. The weapon the voice had spoken of. The key wasn't just showing him a map, it was showing him how to use it. He turned to Lyra. "We can't fight them here. The key is leading us. We need to go." Lyra nodded, her face pale with effort. "I'll hold them, but only for a moment." Daniel grabbed her hand, the key glowing even brighter at their touch. A beam of blue light shot from it, carving a path straight through the library wall. Stone and wood crumbled, leaving a glowing tunnel into the night. "Move," Daniel shouted. They ran through the tunnel, the roar of hunters behind them. Marcus's voice echoed, full of fury. "You can't escape me, Daniel. I'll find you wherever you go." The tunnel led them out of town into the hills beyond. The key pulsed stronger with every step, pulling them toward an ancient valley hidden beneath layers of fog. The ground trembled as if the earth itself knew what was coming. At the valley's center stood ruins, pillars of stone covered in glowing markings, circling a great platform. The key in Daniel's hand blazed, reacting to the sight. Lyra gasped. "This is it. The weapon." Daniel stepped onto the platform. The key lifted from his hand, floating above the stone. Blue lines spread across the ground like veins of light, connecting the pillars. A deep hum filled the air, rising like a heartbeat. But before the weapon could awaken, the hunters arrived. Red light cut through the fog as they descended into the valley. Dozens of them, their eyes burning like fire. Marcus stood among them, his face twisted with hunger for power. "End of the road, Daniel," Marcus sneered. "Give me the key or I'll tear it from your corpse." Daniel stood tall, though fear clawed at his chest. Lyra moved beside him, her small frame glowing brighter as if she were no longer just a child but something greater. He looked at her. "Can you finish it?" She nodded. "If you stand with me." Daniel smiled faintly. "Always." The hunters charged, red energy flooding the valley. Marcus shouted in triumph, raising his hand. But Daniel and Lyra placed their hands together on the key. The moment they touched it, the valley erupted in light. The pillars blazed blue and a surge of energy swept across the ruins. A giant construct rose from the ground. An ancient machine shaped like a circle of stone and metal, humming with power. Symbols spun around it, glowing brighter with each second. The hunters struck at the light, but the machine pushed them back, its energy burning their shadow-like forms. Marcus screamed in rage. "No, that power is mine!" He lunged forward. But the machine unleashed a wave of energy that hurled him into the fog. His scream faded into the night. Daniel felt the key's power surging through him and Lyra together. He understood now. The weapon was not meant to destroy worlds, it was meant to end the hunter's endless hunger. "Lyra," he whispered. "It's time." The girl's glowing eyes locked on his. Together they raised the key high. The machine roared to life, sending a beam of blue light into the sky. It spread across the clouds, piercing the stars. The hunters shrieked, their forms disintegrating one by one as the light consumed them. The valley shook violently. Daniel held on to Lyra, shielding her as the last hunter vanished in a burst of red sparks. Then silence. The machine dimmed, sinking back into the earth, leaving only the faint glow of the key in Daniel's hand. The hunters were gone. The night was still. Daniel fell to his knees, exhausted. Lyra leaned against him, her eyes dim but peaceful. "Is it over?" Daniel asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "For now." Daniel looked at the stars above, his chest heavy. "Your mother, she would be proud of you." Lyra's eyes shimmered with tears. "She would be proud of you, too." Daniel wrapped his arm around her. For the first time that night he felt hope, but as the key pulsed softly, it sent out one final signal into the stars. Daniel frowned. "What's it doing?" Lyra whispered almost to herself. "It's calling others." Not all will be friends. Daniel's heart sank. He thought the nightmare was over, but the truth was clear. This was only the beginning. He looked at the key, then at the little girl who had trusted him with her life. And with quiet resolve, he said the words that marked his new destiny. "That night's knock did not just change my life. It changed the destiny of mankind."